broadcasting live from the breeding pool on the plain of Ravnica. This is Tap Tap Concede. Good afternoon or evening or morning or possibly night, everyone. I'm Cameron. Joining me today is
Kathleen
and
Nelson.
And today we're going to rap to you about changes in organized play, among other things. But first off, we would like to thank our very gracious sponsors over at cardkingdom.com. Cardkingdom.com. Pay them so they pay us. A kingdom of cards. Actual motto
Shipping you cards the fastest since 1990 something.
Yeah, from Seattle to the world since 1997.
Yeah, I think, or 92, maybe?
92?
Maybe 2002?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Since last century.
Yeah.
Card
A
Kingdom.
century of card deliveries.
They may have a slogan, but we don't know what it is.
They pay us.
Now, to be fair, they've never told us to say a slogan, but
Fair
that
enough.
hasn't stopped us from trying to make up several new slogans for them.
We're ideas people.
In 2019, we're looking for even more slogans, and we want you to tweet them at us.
They don't put a date on it. It's just Card Kingdom, from Seattle to the world.
And here's Paul with their official slogan. Thanks, Paul.
It says that on their website. I don't know if that's like their slogan or if they just have that as like a tagline on their website.
Right,
Well,
it's like the PowerPoint presentation has another field below the logo.
I feel like we could combine our tautological slogan, which is just a kingdom of cards, with their actual slogan, which, explains what they do.
Shipping you a kingdom of cards from Seattle to anywhere in the world so fast. I ran out of tempo.
That's okay.
I started off well. I started strong.
Anywho, if you go to cardkingdom.com/LRR, that enters our affiliate code, and if you feel so inclined to purchase single magic cards from them, you can do that anywhere in the world. And if you would like to buy sealed product from them, you can do that within the United States. Also, if you're in Seattle, you can visit one of their fine brick and mortar stores in Bellevue and Ballard. And they're just great.
Yeah, if you want to know what a game store is supposed to look like,
Yeah.
just go to Card Kingdom Mock Sporting House.
A clean, well-lighted place to storm out in.
With a fantastic, with like a restaurant with a good menu and craft beers on tap. And for them who don't drink, such as me, a variety of delicious sodas and coffees and espresso drinks.
Yeah, they hire people who know how to pull a shot. Or pour a shot. If it's your
Both.
birthday, I don't know.
Everything.
Yeah. So
Fluids.
it's the kind of place I would open if I were to open a place and had the work ethic to manage a business in any way. Also, brought to you by our kind supporters over at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. You did this. Way to go. We wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for your direct support of us over at patreon.com, so much appreciated. Shall we move on to the Crack-A-Pack?
Let's do
now that
that.
we've dealt with
No,
business?
first I need to address something.
Okay.
If you're watching this on YouTube and not just listening to it on, I don't know, the podcast app or SoundCloud or something, you'll notice I'm wearing an elephant sweater. That's right, it's an elephant. Yes, my mom knit it. No, she won't knit one for you. Okay.
Magnificent.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about our beautiful new box.
I'm getting in front of the comments about the pretty thing that is clearly on your camera. Also, thanks so much to, do we know who sent it? Someone sent it from Mail Time. It's gorgeous. It's a wooden handmade box.
They style themselves as the chairman of our board, and Beach told me the story in the letter was like, he wanted his employees to have nice things.
No.
Thank you.
So sent one of his people out to procure this for us, and it is quite nice.
Thank you, Loading Ready Chairman. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Can you see it from the camera? See the lid? It's upside down, but it says Crack-A-Pack, has our logo on it. And then inside it's got a divider, which pretty neatly fits packs. They don't fit perfectly, but it's close enough.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's gorgeous.
Shall we roll a die?
Let's do it.
Would you like to take the honor of
I was
rolling
going
the
to say,
die?
Nelson, you roll it. You already got your hands on it.
I shall roll it.
All right.
I am rolling.
Generate some
I've
RNG.
rolled an 18.
All right. 5, 10. Watch me count
He's feeling the packs.
agonizingly slowly.
Yeah, I didn't roll
18.
an 8. Okay.
Unglued.
Ooh.
Ooh. This was donated to us by Lord and Lady Hosk at PAX West. This is the pack we opened last week.
We opened this pack
last week.
Literally last week.
Did
Yes.
it get put back in the box?
And then
And it got put back in the box.
inside of its wrapper.
I had the most disconcerting feeling of deja vu through this entire thing, where I was just like, "Hey, we'll
Lord and Lady
roll this
Hosk.
pack."
No,
it's
don't put
unglued.
it back in there. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
not
No,
do that.
I was
Okay.
going through emotion. No, it's okay, Nelson. It's fine. The moment has passed.
All right, well, grab the pack that was next to it.
Conspiracy, take
Cam
the crown,
loves me.
which has
Also been opened.
also been opened.
What's
Wow.
happening?
Might be the wrong side.
What's happening?
Maybe it is the wrong side.
Is there a store your old PAX side?
There
Yes.
absolutely is a store-year-old pack side.
Why? Okay, let's go to the top. Let's just
Okay.
grab a pack. I can't take the suspense anymore.
1, 2, 3,
I need fresh
4,
magic cards.
5,
Also, why is this happening?
10.
Yeah, I think I remember opening this pack
15.
too. Foil Ogre Sentry.
Here we go.
He's a shiny
Ooh,
bad card.
Japanese Lorwyn.
Oh.
Fuck
Or is this
yeah.
Morning
It's Lorwyn.
Lorwyn? Yeah, oh yeah, with Banneret.
Silvergill Adept.
Oh, that's Silvergill Adept.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, is this Japanese
Cool.
or
Who
is it
sent this one?
Chinese?
From Cody?
From Cody
Kirkin?
At GP Seattle 2018 from Cody Curran at GP Seattle 2018. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cody.
Yeah, this is rad. All right, let's rip and tear.
We should go through this later and take out all the busted packs.
Hmm.
Anyways, unless this is part of some project.
Maybe. I
Nobody
don't know.
told us. Whoever
I
it was
can't-
that
I don't presume
stuffed
to-
the box did not talk to Cam or Nelson or Kathleen.
All right.
This
right
is
about
a
here?
Chinese pack.
Oh, can
Okay,
we?
Chinese.
Are we gonna
surprise-
play? Are we gonna play the Nelson knows all the card names game?
Well, possibly.
Sprite Chaser Boggart.
Very close.
Wow.
to Boggart
Close.
Price Chaser.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Wow.
Cool. For 1 in a red, you get a Goblin Warrior. They're a 1/2. As long as you control a fairy, Boggart Sprite Chaser gets +1/+1. It has flying. Interesting.
It's not great.
Tribal.
Yeah.
Tribal. Yeah. Oakheart Brawler.
No kidding.
Oaken Brawler.
Oaken. All right.
Wow.
2/4 for 4. So it's Iron Root Tree Folk. For a Tree Folk Warrior, when Oaken Brawler comes into play, clash with an opponent. If you win, put a +1/+1 counter on Oaken Brawler. This isn't Iron Root Tree Folk at all. Iron Root Tree Folk was in green and was a 3/5, wasn't it?
Yeah, I usually
Yeah.
refer to the 3/5s as like armored elephant or something. Yeah. So this is pretty cool. Yeah. It's a good card though. This is Pillar Field Ox that can get a +1/+1.
Yeah, with an upside,
That's
right?
fine. I mean, Pillar Field Ox
was
good.
Pillarfield Ox?
It's not usually good. But
Yeah, like there was. What was the last Pillarfield Ox with an upside we had? I want to say it was an Almond Cap.
Well, there's usually one in almost every set. Yeah,
Yeah.
wasn't there just like an
What was the one that-
evangelize or whatever?
Wasn't there one
Embalm?
that brought back an artifact from your graveyard in Dominaria?
That
That's
sounds
a
right.
5-mana 3/5
Right.
with a kicker for 2. Yeah, so that's I can't remember what the first elephant, like Armored Mastodon maybe or something. The first vanilla 5-mana 3/5. There was like Thraben Purebloods, which were just dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But anyways, there's
One of
a
Graham's
bunch of them
favorite
have
cards.
been elephants. It's typically an elephant that's 5-mana 3/5, and so at YJ we just always call that creature type honk. Yeah, Siege
Right.
Mastodon was maybe the first one, or like the most iconic one. It got printed a bunch of times in the core set. So we usually just refer to these elephants. I like that we're talking about elephants for no reason today. We just tend to
Call
call
them
these
honks.
honk. Yeah, there's like
Right.
Grizzly Bear, Grey Ogre, and then usually it's Ox or Pillarfield Ox from the 4-mana 2/4, and this is honk.
Fair enough. I like that. I'll have to start using
Okay, this is
it.
an easy one. Do you know it?
This is it was in Modern Masters 2015.
It's sort of a relevant tribal card.
Yeah, it's
Don't worry about it. It's okay.
yeah, it's Cinder
Smoke
or something.
Braider.
Smoke Braider, right.
Yeah.
1 in a red for a 1/1 Elemental Shaman. Tap to add 2 mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to play elemental spells or activate abilities of elementals. So
It's a Sol Ring, yeah. It's a mana rock for Llanowar
Yeah.
Elves for elementals.
Yeah, and you could do a thing with the elementals where they would just like generate 1 billion mana then explode, right?
Yeah, well, it was partly this guy helped you cheat on mana. There was another one that maybe made them cheaper, but it was more just like if you got to 7, even 5 mana relatively quickly, you didn't have to evoke them anymore, so you just like have a Shriekmaw in play and just like it's a huge tempo swing. It's like casting 2 spells a turn.
Fair
if you just
enough.
pay full retail for your Muldrifters and Shriekmaws.
I also love the look of the elementals on Lorwyn.
Oh yeah, gorgeous.
Like they're just beautiful.
this is, I want to say just Silvergill Marrow? No, it taps creatures. What's this one called? No, all right.
Stony Brook Angler.
Angler,
1 in a
okay.
blue for a 1/2 Merfolk
Right.
Wizard. For 1 in a blue,
got
tap.
me.
You may tap or untap target creature. The untap clause is interesting.
That's right, yeah. So decent little Puppeteer Master or whatever that's called. It's like a reprint, but it's a Merfolk Wizard.
All right.
Nameless Inversion.
Yep.
Another pretty easy one. Sorry.
A 1 in a black for a Shapeshifter instant, a tribal instant. Changeling. This card is every creature type at all times, and target creature gets +3/-3 and loses all creature types till end of turn.
Super powerful effect, yeah. So kind of a better last gasp most of the time. When you want, what you care about is the backside, the toughness shrinking of last gasp. But this can also play like attack with a 4/4, then they don't block, and maybe you have lethal. So it's kind of cool.
Fair enough.
Fertile Ground, constructed playable.
1 and a green for an aura, enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 mana of any color to his or her mana pool. This is a reasonably cheap version of this effect, isn't it? Like Utopia's.
I feel like you usually pay 3 for this effect now.
Now, right?
Yes, you do usually pay 3 and get some life, or maybe a
like
card.
draw a card.
Maybe a card. Yeah, that's right. So, yes, this is reasonably cheap. It's just they've, like most things in Magic, they've like slowly cinched up how powerful mana ramp can be.
I like how it's like Fertile Ground, infinite pumpkins.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, wait, Urban Utopia, yeah, from Guilds of Ravnica, 1 and a green. Same effect.
Isn't the same effect.
Oh, it isn't?
No.
This one fixes.
This is just mana fixing, and it cantrips, right?
Right.
Whereas Fertile Ground actually mana ramps. It
Ramps.
adds an additional mana. So
Okay.
Yes, that's
so it's
very
a little
different.
different. Yeah.
Yes, quite, yes.
We got, this one's a funny one. It's got protection from elves. It's a goblin, obviously. Nath's Buffoon.
Yes!
Nice.
Very good.
For 1 and a black, you get a 1/1 goblin rogue with pro elves.
The art helps you remember, right? It tells the story of like this pet goblin that the goblin, master has. Like Nath is like one of the high chiefs or priests or whatever, leaders of the elves, and so he just owns this goblin and makes him dance around, I guess. Okay, this is another fairies and goblins. Or no, there's an elemental and a goblin in the picture. I want to say like caterwauling boggart. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Domed it out.
He's hard to block,
boggart.
or
3 and a red for a 2/2 goblin shaman. Each goblin you control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Each elemental you control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures.
I'm extremely impressed.
This is like the useless information that you get if you draft a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So I can do this with any set. Like I'll have a fair chance at remembering all the card names of any set that I drafted more than 10 times, but there are like gaps. Like there's, if we do this with Urza's, like we did it with an Odyssey pack or something in another language.
Right.
And I knew like 2 of the cards, and James, you can go back and he teased me relentlessly. But with this one, I'm like having my triumphant moment here.
This is brilliant.
I drafted a fair bit of Lauren. This is Tideshaper Mystic.
Correct.
Domed.
Yeah.
All right. For 1 blue, you get a Merfolk Wizard who is a 1/1. Target land becomes the basic land type of your choice until end of turn. Play this ability only during your turn. Yeah, I mean, this effect crops up fairly frequently in blue.
This
right?
one
like
specifically because it's a Merfolk has actually seen some play in Legacy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's
well, I mean, I
one.
guess it like can turn off certain utility lands.
Yeah, so I don't know if, it's not so good that you can shut down a Tabernacle on your own upkeep, because I think the triggers have already happened. That's how that worked. But like, there's another, this was sort of tech in the Merfolk deck. There's another older one that just taps, says target land becomes an island, right? And so that's usually what you're going to use it for. But then this is slightly better because, and usually the Merfolk deck only plays 1 or 0 of this card. But if you can choose any basic land type, then against a blue opponent, you could end up using your Merfolk. It's the filler Merfolk, right? Like they're playing like a bunch of lords,
right?
And then they just want their curve to be like, and 1 Merfolk that costs 1 on top of the 4 Curse Catchers, right?
Right.
Although Curse Catcher, at this point, hadn't even been printed yet, so maybe this guy got a bunch of play for a little while.
Oh, interesting.
Anyways, it's so funny that like there's 2 in the pack that are like the ones that are being captured by the other tribe. This is Elvish Hand Servant, and every time, it's pretty rad. 1 green for a 1/1, and every time you play a giant, it gets a +1/+1 counter.
Wow.
Any player plays a giant. Sorry, not just you. But yeah, I know this. I can remember all the details of this one because it's an obvious build around in draft.
Right.
Or like, sure, constructed, I guess. But like, yeah, if you saw like 4 of these going around in the packs, like, maybe I build the green-red giants deck, which isn't really a deck. Like red, white are the giant colors, but like this card oddly just asks you to play like green with giants, so you can try to put it together. Probably won't. That's the one I was thinking. Title Warrior. Yeah. So Tideshaper Mystic, slightly better, I think.
Oh, this card.
This card was constructed playable. Maybe still is. Broken Ambitions.
Blue and X for an instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. Clash with an opponent. If you win, that spell's controller puts the top 4 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. And reminder text for clashes, each clashing player reveals the top card of his or her library, then puts that card on top or bottom. A player wins if his or her card has a higher converted mana cost.
I still don't really know what's happening in the art. There's a tree.
It's
Getting counterspelled, I guess?
Well, like the all the leaves are being cleared from its center.
Okay. So maybe I'm like fertile ground, and you're like, no.
Unfertile ground.
Not so fertile,
Yes, not
actually.
so fertile. I'd
Yeah.
rather you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, another modern card that was reprinted in Modern
And
Masters.
so another Giant Matters card. It's deal 4 to a non-giant creature or something. It's a red sorcery that deals damage to creatures.
It's
I might not have played it.
Crush Underfoot.
Crush Underfoot. Thanks.
1 and a red for a tribal instant giant.
Okay.
Choose a giant creature you control. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature.
I wasn't really close. Okay. I
Well, I
hit a wall team. Yeah.
It's you were on the right track.
Yeah. Oh. Shit. Okay, it's obviously an Ironwood Tree Folk or something. Oh no, I'm just falling apart at the uncommons here.
No, the cards you would have seen less of statistically.
Okay. Century Oak. I thought I could kind of remember that it was a wall.
4 and a white for a Tree Folk Warrior. You get a 3/5. It is in fact an Ironroot Tree Folk.
Right.
But it has Defender, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may clash with an opponent. If you win, Sentry Oak gets +2/+0 and loses Defender until end of turn.
So
Neat.
Clash was the tree folk mechanic.
No, it was on
like it appeared
a smattering
everywhere, I
of all
think.
the cards. Yeah, Clash was just the Lorwyn mechanic.
I never played Lorwyn.
They hadn't brought back Scry yet, and they were working, like, there was a bunch of articles that came out about Clash I remember reading, because, I don't know, the players were, there was kind of a mixed response to it. It's a neat mechanic where, like, you and your opponent both get something, right? Like, you both get to Scry, but it's always just, like, usually when you play the Clash cards, it's like you either win or nothing happens. Like, you don't get penalized. You only get, like,
It's
a
all
bonus.
upside.
It's upside for you playing the Clash card. It's just that, like, what's happening on the top of your deck and in the rest of the game, you know, might be going better for your opponent. And the Clash isn't going to change that, right? It's not like your opponent can reveal, you know, only bad cards from Clash.
Right,
or whatever.
right.
So you, like, get to see, like, oh, I'm flooding out and I can't attack with this Sentry Oak even if it makes itself a 5/5. And then, like, I have a land on top. I don't know what, I can put it on the bottom. I don't know what's next, but my opponent has Fireball or whatever, right?
Right.
So
right.
there's kind of, it's sort of creates some weird feels in game. But yeah, it's on.
I could see that.
It's on a bunch of different colors and different tribes. Yeah. Okay, this is. Oh man, I remember what it does. It's Tarfire Thrower, Fire Slinger. No,
Tar
Pitcher. Thanks. No, I think I was going to get it in another second. Okay.
For 3 and a red, you get a Goblin Shaman, who's a 2/2. Tap and sacrifice a Goblin. Tar Pitcher deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Seems fine.
It's solid, yeah.
Yeah.
4 mana 2/2 is not great, but the ability is good. Okay, let's see if I can. Oh, I know what that token is. I bet
Elf
you do
token.
too. Yep. It's an elf. Might be an elf warrior. Is an elf warrior?
Maybe an Elf Warrior. It
think
does
it's
have a
Elf Warrior.
slash. Elf / Warrior,
Yeah, I think it's
maybe.
an elf warrior. That's a good one.
And our rare
Oh wow, it's Cloud Thresher. That's an easy one to grab.
Cloud Thresher. For 2 green, 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 you get a 7/7 elemental with flash and reach. And when Cloud Thresher comes into play, it deals 2 damage to each creature with flying and each player. And it evokes for 2 and 2 green. So you may pay the spell for its evoke cost. When you do, it hits the battlefield and then dies instantly.
Yep.
But
Well,
you still get the damage.
That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
the
So
ETB effects.
all of these elementals with evoke, and there were several. So evoke was another Lorwyn mechanic. It was only on elementals, but the elementals are in all 5 colors. That's their tribe.
famously, like Muldrifter, I think, is one of the more notorious
played
ones.
ones, yeah.
And we mentioned it earlier, the
Shriek
black
Maw.
one,
Yeah.
Shriekmaw.
Shriekmaw still
Also,
gets some play in.
Chewitinger.
Ingot Chewer.
Ingot
yeah.
Chewer.
Ingot Chewer and
gets,
Shriekmaw get a fair bit of play.
Yeah, because they're creature types that have a spell-like effect that can dodge, negate.
And they're spells that you can cast for a small amount of mana, making them still relevant in Modern, but they have a converted mana cost of like 5 or more, so they kind of get around Chalice of the Void.
Oh, yes,
And
yeah.
specifically this one can be used to blow up a Chalice of the Void.
Well, and for relevant to Lorwyn, the evoke means that it's castable, but you can have things with a 6 and 5 CMC for clash
Right, for
purposes.
clash purposes.
Right. Yeah, that's relevant too. So this is a pretty cool card. So it's 6 mana, 7/7 is not bad, although you obviously have a very heavy commitment to green. But you know, like those are decent stats. It has flash and reach, and it shocks. It casts a 2 mana hurricane no matter what.
Yeah, 2 mana hurricane.
And the 4 mana 2 mana or 4 mana 2 power, not 2 mana 2-point hurricane, was kind of like one of the best answers to Bitter Blossom that came up in the set after this. Once the Fairy deck started dominating, unfortunately, just like trying to build a deck that could play this against fairies was tough. Like clearly having this was good.
Well, in Lorwyn
but
Standard,
they can still counter the evoke, right?
Yeah, fairies was dominant in Lorwyn Standard, and then Merfolk was also around.
Yeah, yeah. There were some other decks. There ended up being while the Lorwyn cards were still in. Later, after Time Spiral Block rotated, there was a 5-color control deck. There was a black-white deck that was kind of like fairies and used some of the same black cards.
Neat.
Yeah, but Cloud Thresher, cool card.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much to Cody from GP Seattle earlier this year. Cool pack.
Yeah, thanks so much, Cody. That's great.
So, moving on from the Crack-A-Pack, we wanted to discuss the announced changes in organized play, which are pretty big.
Yeah.
Like these are significant changes.
Did you guys watch the Game Awards? I know that there was an LRR stream of the Game Awards.
There
I couldn't
was
tune into it.
an LRR stream of the Game Awards. We all decided to dress up fancy and then get annoyed at the amount of advertising, which I don't know why. We should have expected that. But yeah, they're doing a big tournament.
That's right.
Like $10 million in prizes on the line this year or something like that.
Yeah, throughout the whole year for organized play. So yeah, if you didn't see it, maybe we'll try to give you the TLDR. So they're going to hand out $10 million in prizes throughout organized play across digital and what they're starting to call tabletop Magic. I think just last Friday with the announcement of the Game Awards and this article that came with it is the first time I can remember anyone calling it tabletop Magic. So I don't know entirely why that like change in rhetoric or whatever is happening.
Well, it might be to signal a commitment to Magic as a digital product as well, where they're when several years ago they stopped calling PAX Prime and started calling it PAX West because they felt that calling it PAX Prime signaled that it was
the best pack.
the best packs and all others were secondary.
Right.
So typically, I would think when something like that happens, if you have Magic and Magic online,
digital Magic or whatever.
Right.
that might indicate that it takes a secondary
space.
It's not the
secondary
same
space.
as real Magic.
Well,
Yes,
certainly,
which is just called Magic.
Yeah.
But if you're calling it tabletop Magic and digital Magic, that indicates maybe that they're equivalent.
Okay, that makes sense. Certainly with this announcement that they're going to be paying out a big chunk of these $10 million to Magic Arena tournaments, then that seems to be in line with what you just said. So that's more money than they've paid out in a year ever before, I think, but only by like double. Like currently are, or maybe a little more than that. I don't know. It's like $3.5 million. I don't have the number right in front of me for how many dollars they paid out in prizes throughout all of the like Grand Prix and Pro Tours and the WMCQ and the Invitational Worlds Championship throughout the year, but it's several $1 million. So, but this is a big bump up. So that's exciting. There's going to be a Magic Pro League, which means there's going to be 32 of Magic's top ranked players from around the world, and they'll be offered $75,000 a year streamer contracts, so like salaries. So that's pretty exciting. They've been slowly trying to kind of build pros as a brand. Like, Wizards has been doing this. Like, pros are doing them themselves too.
For decades.
Yeah, but so we talked a little bit last week about how we read this article by, I want to say A.D. Jameson. We talked about on the last podcast, and the timing was pretty funny. Like, we recorded this podcast, and then this Game Awards announcement happened the next day.
The afternoon.
Or the same afternoon. Oh, yeah. Because it got leaked or something, right?
Well, no, we record this on Thursday afternoons.
Right.
The Game Awards were on Thursday evening.
They were on a Thursday evening, right. Okay, so it happened that same day. So, yeah, I don't know if... And they also had told us that December 6th at the game. I don't know if they told us initially at the Game Awards, but like Blake a month ago had said like there'll be a big announcement on the 6th, but we weren't sure what that would mean. And a lot of people actually guessed that like if they're hyping an announcement, normally you don't get an announcement about an announcement, but if they're doing that, then like maybe it's going to be a whole new format. Because there's this question of what do we do with our arena cards after they rotate the standard? That hasn't really been answered yet.
Right.
But it wasn't that. It was what's happening with the Pro Tour next year, or at least part of that. So, yeah, I want to talk about this Pro League a little bit. I'm curious, and we don't have all of the details for who is getting invited to it. But I think overall, it's a good thing for the Pro Tour. Like, I think it's a good thing for the competitive players and a good thing for the game in general. It's definitely like, as with many things, with the way that these prizes get handed out, it's like obviously better for the people who get it, and it's like there's like a huge chunk of players that like probably we would like to watch as streamers and are just as good at the game as the people who managed to get into the top 32 or close, where there'll be a huge pack of like grinders and semi-pros or even pros that just aren't in the top 32 that don't get it. So they're like, there's going to be a feel bad there because it's like, I think these streamer contracts, like the $75,000, salary is like
don't say salary, because if it's a contract, then all of their expenses still come out of that.
Okay,
like
sure.
A salary sort of implies that you're on Wizard's dime, and I think this is for the year that you're in the top 32.
Yeah.
Here's $75,000 in exchange for doing a bunch of streams. Right. So.
Okay, sure. So there's a difference there.
Yeah.
It's just that like, I guess it's still the difference between a contract and just a prize is that like. It's an annual contract. So like, although you might not be able to hold it from year to year, at least for that 1 year, it's like you don't necessarily need a day job.
Yeah.
Maybe you will also go and get a day job because
I don't know.
being
That's
a pro
a
is
lot of money.
expensive. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but like, and it's like much more than. Well, not that much more. It's like, what's the biggest prize you can win in any one Pro Tour? The thing is that like, they're doing 32 of them too. And whereas, like, I don't think anyone thinks of, like, any individual prize for a tournament as, like, a salary. Like, they don't think of it as, like, that's the money I need to live on for the year. Even if, like, winning a Pro Tour covers your bills, right? Like, maybe winning one Pro Tour a year pays your mortgage. But there's so few of them. There's going to be, like, 6 next year instead of 4. But it's still so few versus the number of players. This is, like, this is like a chunk of people. It's still small versus the number of people who like A, would like to do this job or B, like maybe deserve it or whatever for the amount of effort they put in. But it's still pretty reasonable. So it's kind of like this, a lot of this money is going to these 32, they're like Pro Tour Plus winners.
Right.
So yeah, I'm excited to see how that shakes down. They haven't given us the details about what those streaming schedules are going to look like or how many times a year these players are going to play. So
well, especially if a lot of these people are traveling for events, and like how often are you going to be able to stream, right? If you're like having to travel and prep for an event.
Right. Yeah. We'll see. We don't know yet. Yeah. Moving on.
Right.
The next thing we want to talk about is the change of the name of the Pro Tour and what's happening with Arena. So they're calling the Pro Tour from now on Mythic Championships, and they're going to include, I think it's 2 MTG Arena Mythic Championships, or just the qualifiers to get into MTG Arena to Mythic Championship are happening both in Arena and in Paper Magic.
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Arena's getting quite solid as a product, and I can see that they want to start pushing people towards it. And that's probably the best way to convince people is like, you can win a bunch of money and you can qualify for one of these Mythic Championships now. So
also we as a company have confidence in the product to be able to accurately reflect Magic as a game.
Yeah.
Right. That this is a competitive, compatible product.
Right.
Right.
And this is not too surprising either, because like there have been Pro Tour qualifiers on Magic Online before, and so as long as they feel like, hey, we did at least as good a job with this new digital product, they probably would want to offer the same things you can get. So that's not too surprising. The name change is interesting for this reason. There's a Magic Hall of Fame, and the probably most significant reward you get, and we've had a Hall of Fame episode we've talked about before, but there's a significant reward you get for being inducted in the Hall of Fame where you're invited to every Pro Tour.
Right.
So they have not specifically said whether or not you get to get invited to every Mythic Championship if you're in that Pro Tour Hall of Fame. And maybe that's part of the point. They've come out before and said, hey, we're trying to control how many invites to the Pro Tour there are. We're changing how the Pro Tour qualifier system works. We're introducing preliminary Pro Tour qualifiers, right? And that was partly because the Pro Tour qualifier, network or season had kind of expanded to the point where they're like, oh, there's a few too many pros at the Pro Tour, right? We'd actually want the Pro Tour to be a bit smaller.
Yeah. Well, also, if they take, sorry to cut you off,
no.
Also if they take out, if you're in the Hall of Fame, you automatically get an invite, and you have to, if they remove that, which there is no sign that they are doing, but this is my supposition, is that possibly you get new faces of new people coming up that, and you see some different people at the Pro Tours, or the Mythic Championships.
That's right.
Right. Because, obviously, you see a lot of different people at the Pro Tour / Mythic Championships, but you do see a lot of the same people over and over again because they, get to go. And sometimes it's people like LSV, where it's I get to go to every Pro Tour, and for a long time had a really bad record, and then just play second. Right? So, pros and cons.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. They also have canceled 2 of the Pro Tours that they pretty recently announced for next year. So they're, what is it? There's going to be 4 Mythic Championships next year instead of 6. They had announced Cleveland, London, Barcelona, Richmond, and Dallas, Fort Worth, and Sydney, Australia, but the Sydney, Australia, and Dallas, Fort Worth Pro Tours are canceled. They're also canceling Nationals, so the Nationals program, that's been a long-standing tournament that just happens in every country that has enough Magic players. And I think it's either, I can't remember from the announcement whether it's not happening at all next year. Yeah, there's no Nationals in 2019. Also, there's no World Magic Cup. The Pro Club is being changed. And apparently, the Pro League is sort of taking over. And then, if you are in the Pro Club, you're getting, You're getting your benefits up until the end of 2019.
Okay.
So the Pro Club is a lot more players than 32. I'm not sure how many, but it's definitely in the hundreds. If not, I don't know, there might be 1,000 or more players. But yeah, because there's various tiers.
Right.
And the bottom tier is just some buys at Grand Prix. Another player that I saw on the ferry back from Port Angeles, who was also at GB Portland last weekend, just made bronze. And so now there's 2 buys, but then I think silver is maybe where guaranteed invites to things start happening.
Right. So this sounds like they're trying to consolidate a lot of the premier Magic events into a single banner.
Yeah. But also it's if there's those 32 contracts, and then if you can imagine being part of the best of Magic as part of the best 1,200 players of Magic with certain standing in the Pro Club right now, and now it's as far as you can tell, in 2020, you have to make top 32 to get anything from that place you had before.
But the top 32 prizes are a lot richer.
Much, yeah. I mean, but I don't know in terms of the value of total benefit they paid out, whether or not it's more or less from the bookkeeping perspective. It's possible the Pro League is saving money.
The idea that if you don't make top 32, you get nothing.
Yeah.
Seems very precarious.
Right.
Especially considering that Magic does lend itself to a lot of happenstance. Right? I assume the process of becoming top 32 will be quite involved. But the idea of I made it last year and I paid all my bills. I hope I make it this year and find out that I can pay my bills.
Right.
Or maybe I have to go and find a job.
Right.
Yeah. That seems that precariousness worries me a little bit.
For sure.
But we don't know yet, right?
They're also canceling the Pro Tour Team Series, which is a fairly new invention. The Pro Tour Team Series is what? I want to say 3 years old, maybe 2. This might be the third. Might have started in 2017. I'm not entirely sure, but that part is it's just some extra prizes that went to these Pro Club players. It's the thing on this docket that I care the least about, and it's being replaced. The Pro League, I think, is going to be more fun. If you're a fan of the team series, getting to watch players and kind of root for them, I think you're going to get to do more of that with the Pro League, probably. Like, they're going to put more streaming events on, and that's kind of the smallest blow. Yeah, so the next thing I just wanted to briefly mention, we don't have a ton of time, but it's like, this all happened a couple months after Worlds when Jerry Thompson, very publicly skipped Worlds after having an invite. Am I calling it right? It's Worlds, right? The Invitational.
Yeah.
It used to be called the Invitational. So, and the things he wanted was to do star building. And I imagine that, like, he's going to feel weird that it's like they're doing a great job of star building the top 32 players, and that's it, right? And then the other thing he was hoping for is hiring commentators. They kind of haven't mentioned anything about that, but it seems like, I don't know, I feel like they're aware of, like, who they're hiring for commentators. So I don't know if that's, like, the most important one on his list. He wants more Pro Tour invites, which it seems like maybe this is happening eventually, but I don't know if it's actually happening this year in terms of, like, total number of pros getting invites. And then, he asks WotC to value the working relationships that they have with various partners and community members. So, I mean, they did this, and, like, I'm sure they've been working on this for quite a while, and they've had various feedback. And so I'm curious, and I'm sure he'll release his notes in a podcast if he hasn't already, about whether or not he's, like, quite satisfied with this announcement. But the timing seems interesting, right? Like, the letter from Jameson that we talked about last week was in response to Jerry's initial kind of stance. So yeah, I'm curious to find out exactly what he thinks.
Yeah, do you think Wizards was working on this, and then this whole Jerry Thompson thing came out, and they're like,
I'm sure they're aware of it, right?
Well,
like
I mean, competitive organized play had been kind of like, there was a lot of discontent with it for several years, right? I don't think it's ever been anything anyone has been tremendously happy with.
Yeah, there's always been something to work on, right? One thing or another. I really would like to see more, like, easier to watch Magic content, and I'm pretty sure that, like, with Arena they're trying to bring that. And I'm curious whether or not I will even like it. Like, I don't know for sure. I like playing Arena more, but I don't know if it makes it necessarily more watchable game. At least, like, being able to parse the screen should be easier. So there's
there are a lot of things like
that's a big part.
There are Twitch overlays.
Right.
If you're streaming, that do make the process of understanding what's going on in the game a lot easier, because you can hover over cards and they will come up on your screen.
So that's exciting.
So yeah, one of the challenges I've always found watching Magic Online is just keeping up with the plays. Right. Or watching, top-down views of at even GPs.
Yeah, being able to see the cards.
And
big deal.
the professional commentators also being like, it's a
They're
multiple person job,
next to you,
right? And these are people who are far more knowledgeable about the game than I am.
At least a little.
Let's just think about what it takes to do commentary.
Right.
Okay, first of all, there's the physical, I would say, improv awareness skill of being able to talk at the right time and not talk at the right time, which is very important, right? That's just a skill that you need to do, is this air filling skill. Then on top of that, which is not a skill that everyone has, you need to understand the game not only in such a way, like, obviously some commentators do color commentary and some do play-by-play, and the play-by-play will understand the play more, but the color commentator also has to sort of, like, understand enough to be like, why are they doing that? What's going on there? So you have to have an enormous amount of knowledge of the format, even if you're not an expert, right? And then, like, it's a very, like, taxing mental thing. It's very hard to do commentary. And so when you get to the end of the day, if you've been doing commentary for, like, 12 hours, for a Pro Tour, like, your brain is, I can say I have never done commentary, but I would be able to tell you that, doing performance for 12 hours straight, you're a wrung out cloth, and it's hard to concentrate, right? Like, it's very hard to do commentary, and Magic is an incredibly complicated game.
Right.
So I don't know if their solution is more commentators, like, you have, like, maybe even 3 or 4, like,
Yeah, I mean, I know whenever
Let
I
them
tune
trade
into
out
the
more often?
like League of Legends finals or whatever, they have, like, this huge desk
of casters,
it's like 6 people
shouters.
casting.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's, like, kind of 2 per game, but then they go back to the 6 after the game and talk to all of them, or there might be more than 2 voices at a time. Right?
Yeah, like just commentary is very difficult, and I don't think it's an easy problem to solve.
Right.
So.
We will be, I guess we should consider wrapping it up there.
I'm just going to finish by just briefly outlining the things they haven't told us, right? So they haven't told us the details of the Magic Pro League schedule. Like, we don't know exactly what these contracts are going to imply and what the benefits will be to you, the viewer, and us, like, you know, the viewers, like what we're going to get out of the Magic Pro League. And we also don't know yet entirely the structure of the path to the Mythic Championship, like it used to be called the Path to the Pro Tour, right? But they did tell us that they're going to tell us what that is. But back when they told us that the PPTQ and RPTQ structure is over, which was like 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago or something like that. There's no PPTQ schedule next month. So hopefully by then or in January, it might be this weekend. We're about to have the last World Magic Cup, so. You will have already had a chance to see it by the time this airs, but we're recording on Thursday before the World Magic Cup. So maybe along with the World Magic Cup, look at those announcements.
Maybe what we need to do is have a follow-up episode.
Sure,
in like January, once we have a bit more facts, and actually get some diagrams on screen and break it down. And be like, here's how you get to the Pro Tour.
Yeah, I mean, I want to know. And you'll be able to do it from your living room.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a streaming office.
Yeah. I mean there are
studio you share with a keyboard player who always just starts grinding away the organ hits in the middle of your Magic Arena thought process.
I'm absolutely sure now that there's a prize on the line that I can just become good at Magic all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, you've been waiting to snap your fingers like Thanos.
Yeah. Like I'll just go and live at a monastery and play Magic, right?
Here's the deal though. You can conceivably go all the way on Arena. There's very little barrier to entry on Arena. You don't need to travel.
Yeah.
All you need is a stable internet connection. You know what?
That's cool.
Like that's like gonna be helpful for getting new people into the game and for giving people who like live in countries where traveling to like a Magic event, like, you know, how many Magic events do they have in Europe? Right? Like a lot, but Europe's a big place.
And and like the barrier to entry being very low on Arena is also quite like salient because the formats available on Arena are quite constricted. Or constrained, and
you got standard and draft.
Yeah, and you can just, if you do all your wizard chores, you can kind of assemble most of a deck, right?
Yeah, for very little money.
Speaking of wizard chores, if you are into doing your wizard chores, there's the Going Infinite on Magic Online episode of Limited Resources.
Okay.
Which is not, you can't really go infinite on Magic Online, but they do tell you how to like maximize your value there.
Right.
So that's a good episode to listen to, which just came out.
Also, I mean, the idea of qualifying for the Pro Tour remotely, as long as you have a stable internet connection, it's not brand new either.
No.
It is. I don't know. I'm just excited about it because since Arena came out, I got addicted to it. Like, and I used to play a lot of Magic Online, and I was addicted to it, and then slowly it just kind of, my love for Magic Online eroded. And I just didn't find time for it anymore because partly because it was Magic Online, and Arena is just like I've been having a lot of fun playing it. So
It's a good product.
So strangely, it feels new to me to be able to like do a Pro Tour qualifier in my underwear, even though I did do that like fairly often 10 years ago.
I've played a lot of Arena. I mean, I don't stream it very often, but I like it actually. You know, one of these days I'm going to crawl out of bronze.
Yes, you will.
Gonna start winning 30% of my matches and crawl my way out of bronze.
Oh yeah, and sorry, before I forget, I also wanted to, since we're talking about Arena right now, throw a shout out to Knox for getting his cool format in as like the first Magic Arena Tavern Brawl.
Oh, nice.
In case you were doing your wizard chores, it was like last week or the week before. You could play Everything Has Cascade for free.
Oh,
Magic.
right, yes,
Did you play
yeah.
any of it? It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think Merfolk was the best deck, but possibly it was Burn. I'm not sure.
Well, we're going to wrap up there. And first off, we would like to once again thank our very generous sponsors over at cardkingdom.com, cardkingdom.com/LRR. That enters our affiliate code. And I totally forgot to mention this, but if you do order something from them, you can put into the special requests field on your order page, Loading Ready Run sent me button, please, and they will send you, if they have any left, one of our little 1-inch buttons. I believe right now it's They read, it's pronounced Wooburg.
Wooburg.
And then I think after we run into that one, it's make them have it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to make them have it.
Hashtag cowboy magic.
Yep. Yeah, they took away our Git probes, so who knows? This is probably safe to swing into, right?
Just jam your spells. It's
Yeah.
fine.
You can't never cast spells.
Yeah.
Right?
And it is brought to you by the very kind support of you, our viewers, over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Thank you once again. Your very generous support makes this all possible. So from me, Cameron.
And me, Kathleen.
And I, Nelson.
Thank you. See you in the future.